everyone, and welcome back to another theatre vlog. It's the first of the Broadway ones, and I wonder if you can guess what I'm seeing. Tonight I'm going to see Anastasia at the Broadhurst Theatre in New York. I'm ditching my boyfriend to go to the theatre, but thankfully he's fine with it because he's an absolute superstar. I'm just calling you a superstar because you're letting me go to the theatre and you're just going to go and drink beer. So happiness on both sides. It's how you keep a good relationship. Would you agree, darling?
Yes.
Not even listening, just blanking me out because of vlogging. Yeah, tonight Anastasia is going to be my first Broadway show of this trip. I've heard very good things about this show, and I feel like it will come to London at some point, but probably not for a while. So I am very excited to see it. It's got Ramin Karimlu, always say his name wrong, who is from London. We've had him on the West End. And Derek Klenner, who was in like Dogfight and stuff. I've never seen him in anything, so that'll be fun. And I don't know what the girl's name is actually. And I've not watched this film in like a long old time, so the story is going to be pretty much brand new to me. So I'm very excited. My friend Jake is going to come say hello soon after he finishes work, which will be so exciting. And then yeah, going to go into the show and see what it's all about. The interval of Anastasia now. It was such a scrum to get out of the theatre just now because I thought it was bad in the West End with like the ladies' toilet situation. This is worse. There's just old theatres, so they don't really like have that many toilets. Sorry, it's my phone. So yeah, it was madness to try and get out of the theatre just now. I'm really enjoying the show so far. I wanted to focus more on talking about my seat right now because I was scared that my seat was going to be crap. I thought it was going to be really bad because I'm the second to the last row of the mezzanine. It's only got stalls, orchestra and mezzanine, and it was like one of the cheapest tickets, so I thought it was going to be rubbish, but it's actually not that bad. I can see everything perfectly, I'm not too far away, the leg room's alright. It's freezing though, like I've actually had to come outside so I can like warm up a little bit, and my friend Jake and I were talking about this just before the show because he was saying about the fact that West End has no aircon. And I'm kind of glad about that because I'm freezing right now. I didn't think to bring a cardigan or anything, so yeah, I've literally come out to warm up, and I'm gonna go grab some merchandise on my way in if I can because it's so busy. Hopefully I'll be able to get some, and also a drink because I want to get the cool Anastasia cup. So that's my quick interval update. I am enjoying the show. Obviously I'll save full thoughts, wow, for the end of the video. Also I'm managing to like survive. Like I'm actually wide awake right now considering I was on a plane today. I was awake at 6 AM UK time, and technically it's 7 minutes to 9 New York time, which means, let's just say for the sake of argument, it's 9 o'clock, 10, 11, 12, 13, wait, no, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. I think my brain probably thinks it's 3 o'clock in the morning, if I've done the maths right. That's crazy. How am I still awake? I honestly don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna go back in, grab merchandise and a drink, and obviously watch Act 2 and chat to you more about the show. Maybe when I'm home. I don't know if I'm gonna try and film the end clips of these like soon. I'll probably just do it when I'm home, to be fair. But yeah, I hope you're enjoying the Broadway vlogs as well. I can't believe I'm here. I cannot believe I am seeing a show on Broadway again after 2 long years. A random side note as well, but they just scanned my ticket for me to leave for the interval, and I presume they're going to scan it on the way back in as well, which is, I guess, a really good security technique. Just thought I'd say that before I forgot.
Circumstances, why wallow in regrets? We're out of second chances. Why are we here except to forget? We know the world is fickle. Life is a leaky sieve. Pass me a glass and give me a bow and drink to the Countess. Nobody now. Why should I care as long as I dare to live in the land of yesterday? Let's run up the bill. We're still royalty and claims. Let this be a sign. Let this road be mine. Let it lead me to my past and bring me home at
I would do that for you. You're amazing. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Hi, guys. Thank you for waiting. Thank you all for waiting.
Hi. Nice furry camera.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Yes, you heard it right. He asked me if I didn't laughing at me. Yes, I'm
Yes,
laughing
I
at you.
am.
Can I get a picture?
Of course. Hey, how you doing?
But yes, I am.
I appreciate the honor. Oh, here we go.
Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you, guys. I like your shirt. Swan Princess. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
You were fantastic. The show was beautiful. Thank you so much. Hopefully it'll come to London soon.
Fingers crossed.
We can stay over there many times. Hello everyone, welcome back to the chatty section of this vlog. It's now been a couple of weeks since I saw Anastasia at the Broadhurst Theatre on Broadway, and yeah, as you can see, I'm home. I didn't want to film the end part of the video while I was still traveling, where it'd be a bit rushed and didn't look as nice and all of that, and it's actually been quite nice so I can sort of digest my thoughts and feelings on the show. Straight off the bat, I have to say, I did enjoy this show. I had a really good time seeing it, and I'm glad that I went straight literally from the plane to the hotel and basically to the theatre. It helped with the jet lag situation. I managed to stay awake throughout the show and then have a good night's sleep. You don't need to know that, you just want to know about the show, but I like to tell you everything. First of all, let me talk about my seating position in the theatre. So I was second to last row of the back, I believe. And I was a little bit worried, I won't lie, because I'm used to being in the West End and the theatres are very different from London to New York. And yeah, I was paranoid that I was going to be so far away, I wouldn't be able to see anything, but honestly, this seat was amazing. The view was fantastic. It's one of the cheapest seats. It's pretty much the cheapest seat in the theatre, to be fair, that you can actually purchase. I'll put the exact total that I paid here because I can't remember the numbers right now. But yeah, I booked this seat in advance. I'm really glad I did. And I'm glad that I didn't spend more money, to be honest, because I had a great view. I could see everything absolutely perfectly. There was no restriction whatsoever. And I'd highly recommend it if you're a bit worried about where you're going to sit to see this show. Literally, sit at the back. It's a great view. The legroom was borderline. It was okay. The only real complaint that I could have about seeing this show is that the aircon was up so high. It was warm. New York was going through a bit of a heat wave, so I can understand why they might have thought, oh, let's just put the aircon up a bit higher and it'll be fine. But I was freezing. I was wearing I can't remember exactly, I was wearing a short sleeve top, but normally that's fine. I didn't think to take a cardigan. I thought I'd be okay because it was so warm out. It was uncomfortably cold, so it did ruin the atmosphere a little bit for me, just because at some points all I could think about was the fact that I was so cold. Anyway, enough about the temperature. My next point that I remember from seeing the show was that the ushers were so lovely at this theatre. The ones I encountered anyway, they were so nice, and I wanted to get quite a few playbills to take home for my friends and such, and the usher that I ended up having to go to then take me to my seat, she was very lovely and gave me a good amount of playbills, which I am very appreciative of. As I've said already, overall I did really enjoy this show. I have to admit, it's been a long time since I have watched the film, so I'd pretty much kind of forgotten the story, to be honest. I remember kind of watching it and enjoying it as a kid, but yeah, the specifics of the story were a bit lost on me because it's just been such a long time. And my friend Jake went to see the show in the same week that I was there. I actually saw it before him, which I feel quite smug about because he is a New York local. But yeah, he managed to get a ticket. It was my last day in the city, so I managed to see him quickly after the show, and we had a little chat about it. And he said, he asked me if I found the story confusing, and I have to admit I did at first. Basically, if you don't know the story of Anastasia, she is a princess, and I'm not going to go into the specifics because I don't want to get anything wrong, but basically she's obviously a princess, therefore part of a monarchy, and there were a group of people that didn't want the monarchy to exist anymore, so they killed the family. And Anastasia, they never found out if she had survived it or was also killed, and basically it's a bit of a confusing change in the story because suddenly she appears, but she's got what's the word I'm looking for? She's lost her memories, basically. I can't remember what the phrase is. And also, sorry, I might accidentally spoil some bits of the show and story. Apologies if you want to be not spoiled. That whole transition of the show, it was a little bit weird, I'm not going to lie. The moment itself was weird, but then you obviously understand very quickly of what's happening and what's going on. But that initial moment, you're like, oh, okay, what's going on here? Anastasia was played by Christy Altomare, and I hope I'm saying her surname right, and she was a fantastic actress. Really, this is the first time, as far as I'm aware, that I've seen her in anything, and she was great. Derek Klena was in this show as Dimitri, and Derek Klena I'm obsessed with. I've been listening to him on the Dogfight soundtrack cast recording for like the past 3 or 4 years, probably 3 years. 3 years. So I've got a lot of love for his voice, and again, it was amazing to see him on stage. They worked really well together and they were lovely to listen to. So nice. Another big name that I knew in this show was Ramin Karimloo, and I'm always scared of saying his name wrong. I think I got it right, but I'm sure my friend Sam will let me know if I haven't got that right. He was great in this show. It was a bit weird that he didn't show up as much in Act 1. I was kind of like, how weird to have a guy like him in this show and not be in it as much. But then Act 2, he really was. And an observation that I've put down in my notes is that he turned into Javert a little bit in Act 2, and if you've seen the show or if you've watched the film, like, you'll understand. Let me just get his character's name because I've forgotten it. He plays Gleb. Gleb, I don't think I'm saying that right, it doesn't sound right, but he plays like the baddie character. So yeah, he was great, but I found it quite interesting that he wasn't as big a role as I thought he was, but he still was. I'm still a bit jet lagged, I'm not gonna lie. I honestly think my favourite part of the show was the design of it all, because the set design was incredible. They had like 3 revolves, and I love a revolve. Anytime I see a show that has a revolve and I'm doing a vlog about it, literally there's probably so many moments where I've just been like, I bloody love a revolve, but I do, I really do. And the way they used it as well as the backdrops. I'm going to try and find some photos to insert to kind of make it a bit clearer. Basically, they had the one main back wall. There was also digital screens, which they used like throughout the show a lot, and it didn't look tacky. It looked really good, and I think it's so hit and miss with the digital aspect of theatre in terms of screens like that. Sometimes it can look great, sometimes it can look awful, and for this they absolutely nailed it and it looked amazing. So they had the main back wall, and then they had 2 sort of the side sections which were on a revolve, so obviously they could turn whenever, and that completely changed the whole like room or set or scene. And then a middle revolve as well, and it wasn't like revolves for the sake of having revolves. It really all tied together so well, and it was fascinating to watch, and I really loved it. Like those digital screens, I'm so impressed. I don't want to spoil anything, but like the digital screens, I'm just going to keep going on about them. So at some points they were just simple like backgrounds, just obviously like emphasize where they were in the story. But then sometimes they were like maps, and sometimes they were using them to actually like propel the story along. And I'd highly recommend seeing this show just for the use of like digital technology within it, because I'm blown away. It was amazing. Despite what I said about being a bit confused about the whole storyline shift of Anastasia, the story overall, it's not complicated. Like I think personally, maybe a younger child might struggle a little bit, just because that whole thing of memory loss and someone not knowing who they are might be a bit harder to follow as a child, but as an adult, I got it. I knew what was going on. Proud of myself. It is fascinating because I never realised that this story was actually like a real thing. There's a board outside the theatre next to the stage door, which I was reading while waiting for Derek and Christy to appear, that it's actually like a real thing that happened. And I'm gonna feel really stupid now if it's not and they're just having me on, but like, I think it is. I think it's real. I think this happened, and like the whole story of Anastasia, like it's been made into like books and films and now theatre because it is still a mystery. I learned something. Like, wow. I mean, that's incredible to me, and it gave me like more appreciation for the story as a whole, because I was like, oh, I thought this was just made up, but no, it happened. I mean, I could be wrong. They could be lying to me, but I don't feel like they'd lie in that respect. A massive highlight of the show for me was a song in Act 2. Annoyingly, I can't remember what the song is. If I can find it, I'll put it up here. But it was between the characters of Vlad and Lily. So basically, if you don't know the story of Anastasia, obviously everything happens with the family, and then Anastasia bumps into Derek's character Dimitri and John Bolton's character Vlad. They're like a sort of sidekick, not sidekick, a duo, and they're trying to find someone who can be Anastasia to pretend to go to Paris, or not pretend to go to Paris, pretend that she's Anastasia, go to Paris, trick Anastasia's grandmother into thinking that that's actually Anastasia, get a load of money, and like have life sorted, basically. That's a very paraphrased version of the story, and obviously they actually end up finding the real Anastasia, but she doesn't know she's the real Anastasia because she's lost her memory. Are we all caught up? Good, great. So basically the character of Vlad, he is a friend of Dimitri's, and then he knows this lady, I think they call her Miss Lily in the story, and she is like, I don't want to say maid, but she like assists Anastasia's grandmother. So she's over in Paris and they're over in Russia, and then he, because obviously Lily worked for Anastasia's grandmother before she moved to Paris, so Vlad knew her when she was in Russia. Sorry if this is confusing, but basically there's a whole like secondary story of how he's going to try and win her back. Sorry, my memory card just cut out, but I think we're back. So yeah, there's this whole secondary love story of how Vlad is going to win Miss Lily over again. Oh, just Lily. I'm just going to call her Lily. And then in Act 2, they have this hilarious number and they literally steal the show with it. It's so brilliant. It's a real joyous but random moment in the show, and I loved it. They were so great playing these characters. They were absolutely fantastic. And yeah, as I say, definitely a highlight moment of the show for me. This is definitely a bit of a spoiler, so if you don't want to be spoiled, as if I've not probably spoiled stuff already, but like definitely skip ahead like 20-30 seconds. There's a couple of moments in Act 2 where they have projections up around the theatre, so all on the walls. If you've been to Disneyland, if you've been on the Phantom Manor ride, there's a bit where they have like ghosts like dancing around, and it really reminded me of that, like, but it was done so beautifully. It looked incredible. I want to go back to see this show again just for that moment, and I think that speaks volumes. It was so incredibly done. The thing that they've done with technology in this show is that it looks amazing and it doesn't look tacky, and kudos to the team that have put that together, because that's a challenge. That is hard to do. And it looks just beautiful and mesmerizing. And obviously it was in the stalls section, but also in the dress circle section. Like, it was on all of the walls. And it was when I think Anastasia was remembering like ballroom scenes and stuff, like before the tragedy happened. And my mind was blown. It was fantastic. I haven't been able to listen to the cast recording since seeing the show because it's not on Spotify, so I need to buy it. I have to say that there's only snippets of some of the songs that have been like really memorable for me. I think maybe it's because I hadn't listened to it beforehand. It's kind of a blessing and a curse, like, don't listen to stuff before going to see the shows. I mean, I did obviously love the performances. I thought they were fantastic. I'm sure once I start listening to the album, then I'll get to fall in love with the songs a bit more. I remember really loving Derek's song St. Petersburg, I think it's probably called, and obviously the Journey to the Past song. I think that was the Act 1 closer. Sadly, I don't think the songs were amazingly memorable, but as I say, maybe when I listen to them more, it'll kind of come back to me. I'm going to wrap this video up now. I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts of seeing Anastasia on Broadway. I would love to know if you've been to see this show, or if you're hoping to go and see this show in the future. Do let me know in the comments down below on your experiences. If you have enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and you'd like to see more of me in the future. There's going to be a lot of Broadway stuff coming up on the channel soon, and there's always lots of theatre stuff in general anyway. So yeah, I hope you're all doing really well and I will see you very soon. Bye!